This cool looking piece of camera tech is the Tilta Nucleus Nano II. Now it's by no means a new product, Tilta released it almost a year ago, but it's still meant to be one of the best affordable follow focus systems on the market. So in this video I want to share with you my thoughts on the Nano II after working with it on a few shoots. I'll talk about what I like about it, what I don't like about it, and hopefully help you decide whether or not this might be something for you. Now before we get started, I want to say that this video is not sponsored by Tilta, but they did send me this unit to try out. However, they don't get to review this video, and everything I say here is my own honest opinion. The thing that I like the most about the Nucleus Nano II is just how easy it is to use. Everything from calibrating the motors to navigating through the menu to mounting it on your camera rig. On some follow focus systems, it can be a bit of a pain to calibrate the motors to your lenses. But to calibrate the motor of the Nano II, all you need to do is press and hold the pairing button, and the motor will then automatically find infinity focus and minimum focus. If you're working with multiple motors, which I'll talk more about later on, you can hold the function button on the hand unit for about 3 seconds, and it will then automatically calibrate all motors. This is really helpful when you're swapping lenses on a shoot, and you can then just calibrate them very quickly without wasting any time. Now, if your lens doesn't have hard stops like a lot of photography lenses, you can still easily manually calibrate the motors. It takes a bit longer to do, but it's still very straightforward. One of the biggest eye catchers of the Tilta Nano II is probably this pretty awesome looking touchscreen. But besides just looking good, it also makes using this unit very easy and intuitive. This main screen shows you your 3 motor parameters. So your focus marker, your zoom range if you have this motor set up, and your iris range again if you have this extra motor set up. When you swipe over, you can see your camera control settings if you have it set up to control your camera. And on the next page, you'll see your pre-calibrated lens information. Swiping up, you'll find all your other settings. So general settings, system settings, motor settings, and connection settings. In the motor settings menu is where you can adjust things like your calibration, torque, direction, and sensitivity. This is also where you would manually calibrate your lens if you need to do that. Alright, another really useful feature on the Nano II is the ability to set marks. This can be very handy when you're, for example, trying to mark something at a specific focal distance. You can set a mark by pressing the function button, and then you'll see a mark appear on the focus dial. When you reach that focus point, the hand unit will vibrate, so you know that you've reached your mark. You can easily delete these marks by double tapping the function button. And you can also set or delete marks with the A and B button on the touchscreen. Additionally, you can set a specific focus range which you don't want the motor to exceed. And this can be very useful if you, for example, have a quick focus throw or you don't want the motor to pass a certain distance. You simply hold the A and B button, then rotate the wheel to select your range, and then single tap the A and B button to lock that range. A common issue with smaller lens control systems like this is weak motors, but I was really impressed by the power of the Nano II motors, especially keeping in mind how affordable this Nucleus Nano II is. I tried it on my Helios 44 vintage lens, which is more of a stiff lens, but it still handled it fine and everything ran smoothly. Just as reference, I had the torque set to the lowest setting, so even if I'd be working with an even stiffer lens, I would still have the option to bump up the torque, which is pretty impressive. And while we're talking about the motors, one other thing that I really like is that these motors are powered with USB-C. Now this is great for a number of reasons, but mainly because USB-C is such a common cable. So if you ever forget it or it breaks, it will be super easy to replace it. It also gives you a bunch of different options to power these motors. The most common ways to power the motors would be with a V-mount battery. You can then go from D-tap to USB-C or simply go from the USB-C out if you have that option. You can also use an NPF battery plate like this one from Tilta that you can buy separately, but it also comes with the control handle kit. And that actually brings me to the next thing that I like about this Nucleus Nano II system, which is the extra control handle. Now this doesn't come with the standard Nucleus Nano II kit. You can buy it separately or you can purchase the kit. Then you get the hand unit, 2 motors, the control handle, and a few more accessories. And this control handle gives you the ability to control a total of 4 different motors. For example, one for iris, one for zoom, one for focus, and perhaps one for a V&D system. But this handle is also compatible with DJI motors, and that means you're able to control DJI gimbals with this, which opens up a lot of opportunities when you're working with a first AC or if you need to operate your gimbal remotely. Now, the hand unit actually already gives you the ability to control 2 motors. You can, for example, control a focus motor with the main wheel and then control a second motor for zoom with the zoom rocker on the side of the hand unit. This will most likely be more than enough for a lot of users. Alright, now let's talk about some of the things that I don't like about the Tilta Nucleus Nano II, and these are actually all related to the accessories and not so much to the hand unit or the motors, because I honestly think that those work fantastic. The one thing that bothered me the most was the need for an extra battery for the control handle. So you power this handle with NPF 550 batteries that slide in the bottom of the handle. And I kind of wish that it would have an internal battery like the hand unit that you charge over USB-C. That way the entire kit would just kind of work with USB-C. Another complaint I have about the control handle is regarding the screen. It's very small and it's kind of hard to read. Especially when using the handle outdoors, the screen is not bright enough to be able to read it properly. So as I mentioned, Tilta offers an NPF battery plate, and if you get the control handle kit, it comes in the kit. But this battery plate is not compatible with just any cage. It has these locking pins next to the 1/4" screw, and that means you're somewhat limited to where you're able to mount this plate. I, for example, can't really mount it anywhere properly on this small rig cage on the A7S III, which is kind of a bummer. So those are just a few things that I wish would be improved on the Nano II, but like I mentioned, they're actually only related to some of the accessories, because really I think the Nano II works great. Above all, at $299 for the basic kit, this is such a bargain. You're getting a ton of value with how powerful this system is and with a great touchscreen UI. So if you're interested in getting a wireless follow focus system, I highly recommend that you have a look at the Tilta Nucleus Nano II. I'll make sure to put a link in the video description if you want to check it out. Alright, that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks a lot for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye!